Today, we have a very special topic, I think very timely, and it was prompted by colleagues asking us, well, is study abroad experiences dead for a while? We cannot really take our students on overseas international experiences. What do we do? Actually, there are good alternatives, and this is not something that we've just started recently after the epidemic, but we have been doing these what we call virtual exchanges for some time. And we have two colleagues with us today who will talk about their experiences, very successful experiences of bringing together students peer-to-peer, cross-cultural, cross-national relationships over a project, a case, a problem-solving situation. So virtual exchange involves experiences allowing our students to have these international cross-cultural experiences over a project. So they're also known as collaborative online learning experiences because it's a form of learning. Students not only enjoy this type of learning, but they also have a lot of takeaways from it. And they can easily be blended into your existing courses, or they can be apart from your courses as standalone modules as well. So learning across nations, cultures, and collaboration over projects, case problem solving or other problem solving situations, and exposure to the business community as well are part of this type of experiences. This is something we're going to elaborate and explore today with two very good colleagues who are very experienced, as I mentioned, in this kind of facilitation of learning by our students. So I'll introduce our own colleague, Dr. Mourad Dakhli first, whom you have seen in previous webinars. We're very proud of what he has done in this arena, as well as in other ways as well. Both Dr. Rihab Abba and Dr. Mourad Dakhli are innovators in a sense because they push the envelope. They do things outside of what we typically do in the classroom. Dr. Mourad Dakhli, of course, has his PhD from University of South Carolina. He's done all kinds of international experiences, a lengthy teaching assignment in Kuwait. He's also taught in countries like Azerbaijan and Republic of Georgia. He is known as an innovator. He directs the MIB program, Master of International Business program at Georgia State, which is a very successful, very popular one-year program for our students from the US as well as other countries. So I'll just say that much about him. I'll turn to our Dr. Rihab Abba, who appears in our webinars for the first time, and very welcome to you, Dr. Rihab. Very pleased to have you here. Dr. Rihab is equally impressive in her qualifications. She has a PhD in advertising discourse from ESCA, and she also leads the International Business Program at ESCA, which is the School of Management in Casablanca, and she has invited me earlier today to come and visit them as well. So I'm looking forward to that, Dr. Abba. Dr. Abba has experience in training, in pedagogy development, and experiences in case study development. She's participated in several research projects, some of which were funded by the European Union. But she's certainly one who cares about her students and who has been a great partner to Dr. Dakhli and us here at Georgia State in facilitating these cross-national, cross-cultural experiences for our students. With that, I'm going to turn to Dr. Rihab Abba, who will get us started and explain exactly what they have done as very close partners with our students. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Tamer. Thank you, GSU-CIBER, for the invitation, for this opportunity to share about the experience we had with Dr. Mourad Dakhli in virtual collaboration between our two institutions. My name is Rihab Abba. I am faculty at ESCA École de Management in Casablanca, Morocco. I teach problem solving, I teach complexity management, which are two topics that are very relevant in nowadays pandemic. Complexity is something that we need to deal with on a daily basis, and solving problems by all the means that are accessible to us. Today, I will just share with you a few slides to explain the experience of virtual collaboration that I had with Dr. Mourad Dakhli. And very briefly, I will present ESCA École de Management because it will be easier once we understand more about the school, about the country, to understand the type of relationship we had with Georgia State University. Maybe you're familiar with the Morocco location. It's right across the Atlantic Ocean from the United States, and probably back when the continents formed only one giant Gaia continent, they were glued together. Now we have an ocean apart, but we're still able to communicate and to collaborate closely. Morocco is at the borders, at the north part of the African continent, and Casablanca is the economic capital of the country. And very briefly, for those who are not familiar with Morocco, it is in the top 3 of the most innovative countries in Africa. This is at the crossroad of the continents, Americas, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And it has the best infrastructure in North Africa, according to the WEF report from 2017-18, and it has free trade access to 1 billion consumers. So it is very internationally oriented as a country. And Casablanca, its economic capital, is actually becoming an unavoidable financial hub for the continent, and it's the first business center in Morocco and Francophone Africa. This part of Africa has been colonized by France in the 20th century, so now the spoken language there is French, but English is used as a business language with most of the situations. Let me just highlight the fact that Casablanca holds the 3rd of national GDP in Morocco, even if it doesn't look like a very big city compared with big cities in the US, but it's still the biggest in the sub-region. So Casablanca, as a cosmopolitan city, is of a big interest for businesses. It's, as I said, the first financial hub in Africa, and there's even a giant financial center that's being built there, and where ESCA is preparing its own campus. Education also is very important in this city, because most of the students in Morocco and in the sub-region come to Casablanca in order to pursue their education. And also it's a very youth-oriented city because it offers several entertainment means for the students. Well, if I zoom in to ESCA École de Management, it is based in Casablanca only. It is a one-campus school, which mission is primarily to help develop the emerging economy of the country in a globalization context. And it's the key word that I want to highlight. Also, it helps accompany the performance of firms in their process of internationalization. So this is the main goal of the school. And this explains the types of projects it invests in. So some key figures about ESCA. It has 1,100 students. It may seem like a small number, but actually it is huge. Consider that this is not a public school, it's a privately run. And it has a one campus school. And since it is a private school, so students have to pay fees. So not all the students can afford this in an emerging country. This is why we consider this number as a very good number. Over 4,000 graduates so far in this school, and we also offer trainings for managers. So so far there are 1,200 managers trained per year. The faculty members come from all backgrounds. Some are Moroccan, some are international, and there are so far 73 faculty members. Most of them are PhDs. 30 nationalities roam the campus, from teachers to students. And there are 17 flagship programs and various tailor-made trainings. And finally, in the key figures, we have 64 corporate partners because, as I said, the school is oriented towards accompanying businesses. So it is very important for the network to have several corporate partners, along with, of course, with the institutional educational partners. So also here, in order to showcase the importance of the school in the sub-region, it is now a 20 years old school, and it is ranked first business school in Morocco, with the help of several assets that I could present very briefly. And it is top three in the top three business schools in Africa. And as I said, there are corporate partners, but there are also partner institutions such as Georgia State University, and now we're at nearly 100 partner institutions with which we have several types of collaboration contracts, going from joint teaching to exchange programs to virtual collaboration and others. And the employment rate of the graduate students is very high for the country. So this is a very seductive school for the students there. So here are a few of the assets that help the school guarantee a good quality of teaching and accompaniment. And the most important one for us is the accreditation by AACSB organism. This is a very valuable accreditation, and it's a privilege for ESCA to say that it is AACSB accredited, since it is the only one so far in Morocco and in French-speaking Africa to be AACSB accredited. Just for information, in Africa, the entire continent, there are only very few business schools that are AACSB accredited. One in Egypt, one in Lagos, and 3 in South Africa. And ESCA was very proud to get this accreditation because it shows that the quality and the relevance of the programs and the accompaniment would be helpful for the students. It's also a state-recognized business school, which means in a Moroccan context that the Ministry of Education validates the programs and the certification we offer and the diplomas, the degrees. And once the students get their degrees from ESCA, they are able to apply for public positions. They are able to apply for postgraduate programs at the public university. So, as I said, ESCA École de Management is state recognized, and it is #1 in Morocco, according to EduUniversal ranking. So let me show you very quickly our international network. As you may see here, our partners are present in all the continents all over the world, and we are very proud to have built these partnerships. It took us several years to create this quality relationship, and we are very proud of it. And one of the most important partners that we have is Georgia State University. So here, very quickly, you can see here GSU, Stern, SB NYU, Michigan, all from the US and San Diego, but also from HEC Montréal or Bocconi in Italy, or Nova in Portugal. Yes, some double degrees are offered by some of our partners, such as Grenoble École de Management or HEC Montréal, etc. So I won't spend too much time on that. You could get the information very easily afterwards, or check the slides, or visit the website to have more details. What I want to highlight lastly about ESCA is that it requests from the students to validate a certain number of competencies that go from problem solving to advanced competencies, entrepreneurship. But the one that's interests us most here is the place that we give to global perspective. It's at the core of our programs, and we make sure the programs fit these competencies, and we try to help the students build year after year these competencies before they graduate. So global perspective for us is very important. That explains why we invest so much in all our partnerships locally and internationally. So this explains why we have virtual collaborations with major institutions around the world, namely with Georgia State University. And I have been very, very lucky to be able to work with Professor Mourad Dakhli on several projects. But the collaboration with GSU goes back to 2014, where we organized joint lectures. And we evolved in few years. And we started working on different types of collaboration. And in 2018, we managed to apply joint case analysis experience. Of course, it has been planned before, since 2017, but we could apply it and make it happen in 2018. And in this year, also, we have started a very different type of experience about the Agariz open challenge platform that I will let my colleague Mourad Dakhli talk about later on in a few minutes. But for now, I'll just stress on joint case analysis experience and give you some more explanations on how it has been conducted between our two institutions. So joint case analysis was an interesting type of collaboration because it allowed to innovate and to change from the classical traditional ways of collaborating between institutions. But the first challenge we had to deal with, Professor Dakhli and I, was to choose a topic, because students from Georgia State University, students from ESCA École de Management maybe didn't have much in common to be interested in the same topic. So that was that took us a little time to find out figure out what topic to choose. So, but we were lucky because actually there is some common ground between Atlanta and Casablanca and Morocco in general, and this is the movie industry. So Morocco is, maybe you don't know that, Morocco is a major film destination, worldwide recognized. So maybe you recognize here Game of Thrones. So actually what's happening in the background, there is this setting. This is not a fake setting. This is an actual building. It's a castle. It's Ben Haddou Castle or Kasbah near Ouarzazate in Morocco. And here also it's always Game of Thrones, but this time the setting is in Essaouira, which is an Atlantic coast city, very famous with surfers around the world. You may recognize here Gladiator. So this has been shot in Ouarzazate, in the filming location of Ouarzazate. Also here, maybe you recognize John Wick, yes, Opus 5. So this has been also shot in Morocco. So you have here a view of the desert, the Moroccan desert, and the typical scenery in Morocco. So maybe this sounds like a nice picture, but actually the variety of landscapes in Morocco allows for different settings, and filmmakers love to come here. So what happened is that I discovered that Atlanta was also a major filming location, and this I learned thanks to Mourad's input. And I searched a little about that and look at what I found. For example, here, yes, you may recognize Black Panther. Black Panther scene actually this one was shot in the High Art Museum in Atlanta, if I'm not wrong. And this scene here was filmed in the City Hall of Atlanta. So there are also other very famous TV shows that have been filmed in Atlanta as well. Maybe it doesn't have the same coverage for us from outside the US to know about Atlanta as a filming location. We hear more about Hollywood, Los Angeles, but here actually we discovered that Atlanta was a very interesting film location. So maybe you have already watched one of these or most of these. So this is why we came up with a topic that would be of interest for both our students, which is the influence of Hollywood on global culture. So this would fit the need for international business classes of Professor Dakhli, and also make the students more interested in discussing the case together. So once the topic was chosen, we moved to the step of organization. And here are the details of how we organized the case analysis and the presentation joint teams. So the first part was to decide on how to build a team. So we didn't have at first a large number of students from ESCA that were English speakers and that could join the teams from GSU. So at the beginning, we had only teams of 3+3 from GSU and 2 from ESCA. And then other students joined. They were in an internship, and so they went back to school and they were interested to join. Then we moved to 3+3 teams, which was more balanced, of course. And the tools that were used for this exchange and this joint presentation were collaborative, of course, since the distance forces us to find innovative solutions, but the students here were innovative. They were free actually to choose whatever tools they thought useful or practical for them. They moved from Google Docs, WhatsApp to Zoom or Teams. They were free to use the tools that were more interesting to them. And their teamwork was unstructured because what we expected from them was a single team report. So they had to organize themselves and find solutions in order to be able to communicate and discuss together and submit the single team report on due time. Once the group of students, along with Professor Mourad Dakhli, came to Casablanca in the framework of the study tour, we were able to organize debriefings in our classrooms. And this was a very valuable opportunity for the students to finally meet each other in real life, okay, physically. And we were able to debate the case analysis. At the end, we organized, we requested them to deliver a joint case analysis. So that was about the organization. Here are a few pictures showing the in situ activity. So there you can see the students from GSU and the students from ESCA who have been working on the project together in teams, discussing the case analysis. And below you have a group picture. Okay, so I hope I didn't speak too long. Thank you all for listening, and thank you, Dr. Mourad Dakhli. I give you the floor to present the projects that we have has been conducted in 2020.
Very good, very good, very good. Thank you, Rihab, there for setting the stage. And I just want to emphasize that we have a long standing partnership with ESCA, and there's so much we have done. We were there for special events and graduations and recruitment and internships. These are just a few pictures of some of the other activities we've done there in person, and some of them involve virtual exchange beforehand. This is a live case we did for a Moroccan company called Sultan Tea. Moroccans drink a lot of tea, and tea is very important. Everywhere you go, they give you tea. And so we were privileged to do a joint live case, putting our students in teams that also involved virtual exchange before the study abroad. We did another live case for Procter & Gamble Casablanca, and that was an amazing experience, being able to be challenged while we are on our feet. And it was mixed student teams that did the live case. This is company visit. We do visit companies. Couscous is a national dish in North Africa, and this is Couspat and Dari Couspat, and they make one of the most successful exporters from Africa to Europe and the US. And obviously we have joint lecture, as my colleague Rihab mentioned. So we do a lot together. And what I would like to highlight today is one experience that we completed in the spring of 2020. And that experience involved an innovation, a challenge. So we have put our teams together. This is a little bit more a complex type of arrangement. We put our teams together. So they were working in virtual setting. And we undertook an innovation challenge using the Agariz platform. Agariz offer challenges. They work with Boeing, they work with Airbus, they work with Singapore Airlines, with Mercedes, with Coca-Cola, with Microsoft, you name it. So this is a French company, and through their networks, they go to these companies and they seek challenges from these companies. Of course, they offer these challenges for free to students. It's at a cost for the company, but the companies actually use these challenges as a way to scout for talent. And quite often, in most cases, the winning teams are offered jobs with these companies, right? So the challenge that we selected with Agariz after a conversation with Rihab, and actually also Dr. Yunus with us, professor who actually managed the students, is this challenge right here, is the TD Insurance Challenge. And that is a Canadian large company, insurance company, financial company, and they were seeking help or innovation in the area of sustainability. And Dr. Rihab and I and our colleagues believe that sustainability is now a big issue, especially with young generation. And we thought that sustainability could speak well to our students and students in Morocco. And Morocco, by the way, in Casablanca, is really leading in the area of innovation in sustainability. We offered a course just on innovation and sustainability and the role of cities, with a focus on Casablanca. So this will kind of fit very well with that course. So we accepted this challenge. This is through the Agariz platform, and working on an innovation challenge for TD Insurance in virtual teams, where half the team is GSU students and the other half is Moroccan students. We started with a simple task, and I think it's very important to do this on this project, is to start with something friendly, something easy. And the challenge was come up with a team name, right? So, and it's not just any name, but spend some time, get to know your colleagues, get to know your Atlanta colleagues and your Casablanca colleagues, and come up with something in common. That something in common will be your team name. And it's such a nice way to create, kind of break through the ice and create a sense of familiarity. And so Mars, I asked all my teams to start with VE, virtual exchange, so it's easy to find the project. Agariz has hundreds of projects, so for me to find my project, I just search under VE dash. So Mars are the initials of the team, by the way, the team members. Nice, because all of them thought they were nice people in the team. We had tycoons, because all of them wanted to be tycoons down the road. So this is wonderful. This is just purple because it just happens, so happens that the favorite color for that team was purple. So we have to brainstorm, talk about food, about soccer, about what you like, what you don't like, and find something in common, and that became the team names. So these are the team names, and this is the Agariz platform that allows the teams to meet, mingle, brainstorm, and kind of pool all their communications and resources on this platform. And they were able to work. I'm not going to go into the projects and what they the deliverable, but I want to emphasize the assessment piece of it. And I think one thing, if you look at the previous project we've done, we have 4 or 5, I think we felt that assessment is an area that we could really invest in and develop. So for this specific project in the past spring, this innovation challenge, we decided to use the IES, Intercultural Effectiveness Scale. This is a scale that's valid, that's well used, and it is a scale that measures changes in things like exploration, tendencies, self-awareness, relationship development, all items that are anchored in cross-cultural competencies. And that's really what the scale measures. So this is a pre and post. And we looked at where were we in the beginning, where we at the end. I want to highlight one item here, for example, emotional resilience. Well, you know, it was 1 and 3 here, high. And then did we go down? Did we damage the students by engaging in virtual exchange? And the answer is no. And that's what I like about this scale. This scale is not about right or wrong, but it's a developmental scale. Quite few students go into these experiences overstating their capabilities. They think, oh, you know, I have a roommate from India, so I know about cross-cultural, you know, or you know what, I took a class and there were 5 people from different countries. But as soon as they engage with others from different cultures, and they actually are asked for a specific task, where brainstorming, close collaboration, arguments, counter-arguments are required, they realize that maybe they overstated their capabilities. So quite often, even if things go down, and it's not disturbing, it's just that students are much more aware of their weaknesses. And that's why in this scale, you can administer the scale at multiple points during the experience. In addition to that scale, which was pre and post, we also did assessment based, of course, on reflection. So we asked the student to write an essay. There are certain guidelines, talk about your experience, talk about the starting, talk about this and that, but it's really wide open, open-ended question. And what we did was use just word art, word count, to see what kind of issues, what kind of points the students are raising and are mentioning in their reflections. Getting started was a challenge, as one would expect. It was tough assigning roles, who's doing what, who's responsible for this, should I stay low, should I wait? I'm not comfortable working with people from another culture, from another country, so I will, kind of keep low until things start moving, which is fine. This is just absolutely fine. This is why we did that assignment, find a name, as a way to get things started and help them get started. This is also in line with research on diverse teams. Diverse teams have a hard time getting started, right? So homogeneous teams, all, let's say, Caucasian Americans from a specific town who happen to have so much in common, they do very well in the beginning. But when it comes to innovative tasks, tasks that are require a great deal of creativity, great deal of teamwork, guess what? Diverse teams shine. At the midpoint level, they start outperforming homogeneous teams once they get over those hurdles of fault lines, of team fault lines that are diversity or attribute based, sometimes visible attributes, language and country of origin and things of that nature. So this is very well, and by the way, I'm looking at some of the cases that we did before in the project, these teams do so much better, and they're able to tackle so many issues from so many different perspectives, and that's a research underway right now to actually look at the deliverable itself. We also asked them to reflect on the technology side of it, and technology was a bit of a challenge, but I think the advice here is have plan A, but also have plan B, right? One thing we decided to do is leverage the Agariz platform, but also allow the students to leverage other platforms that the students are comfortable with. In most cases, Google Docs worked out very well for these guys, and WhatsApp in terms of communication. So we have the platform, but we also have backup plans, and the students are comfortable. And by the way, the students are so much better than I can be or my colleague can be They are very savvy. You just tell them use technology and they run with it. So this is an area that we don't get too involved with, because we know we don't know as much as our students. We also ask them about reflecting on key issues that were faced. And as would be expected in communications, of course, and some of the other team dynamics that are expected, time difference, of course, time difference. An anecdote I would like to share with you is when one of my students said, just when we are ready to talk now, when we're excited about the project, they are going to bed, right? And some of the Moroccan students say, we are ready to go, but they're asleep, they're still in bed, right? We did not do anything about this. This is the nature of international teams. This is the nature of working with other cross countries. The students have to find a way to work around this, right? So time difference is a challenge for people in companies, organizations, institutions. I face time challenges with my co-authors in China or in Morocco. And this is something the teams need to manage on their own, and they manage, obviously, right? In addition, we use a third instrument in the assessment. This is, again, an important aspect of this virtual exchange collaboration. We want to assess to what degree students are enjoying them, are learning from them, to what degree these projects add value. And from the peer evaluation, one thing that I found that I thought was very interesting is the sense of pride. When students reflected, it's almost like this, we did it, we managed. Oh yeah, it was difficult to communicate, but guess what? It was great talking to Muhammad. It was great talking to Lisa. It was great. Oh, she's so interesting. And they mentioned personal things. Oh, by the way, she also likes the movie that I watched. So there's so much, and I encourage them to share everything they could in this reflection and these evaluations. But we did not see anything specific that is to this kind of cross-cultural teams, other than really the sense of pride of working in these kind of new templates. And the students were really proud of themselves and for what they were able to achieve. Something we did this time, and I want to thank the Office of International Initiatives at Georgia State University and the Atlanta Global Studies Center. We provided certificates of completion. So just to reward the students for their hard work, for squeezing those brain cells, we provided them with certificate of completion. And I did ask all students to highlight this experience on their LinkedIn profile. Say that you work in a virtual team with Moroccan counterparts on this innovation challenge for this Canadian multinational company, right? In the sustainability domain. That's how LinkedIn works. LinkedIn searches for these keywords, and you don't want this to be embedded or hidden in your transcript. Highlight that, and I encourage my students, I even gave them a statement of how to highlight this project as a unique experience in college on their LinkedIn profiles. I want to also talk about a current project that we're not stopping here. Rihab and I are always squeezing our own brain cells to look at what we can do. Right now, Rihab and I are developing a joint course where that will be a virtual exchange course. This course is being developed jointly, and it will focus on doing business in Africa. We have a course called Doing Business in World Regions, and I have a course called Special Topics in International Business. And the course that Rihab teaches on complexity management, I think will be fitting. And we would like to focus on key economies in Africa, Morocco, Egypt, Ethiopia, South Africa, and Nigeria, to be fair to the various regions of Africa. And we would like to develop joint resources. We are working on joint rubrics, that's coming up. We will have the same syllabus, same assessment, and the deliverable, we decided, will be a joint case writing. So we're gonna push the envelope a little bit. It's not just case analysis, but you need to write a case. So we're talking about extensive research. We're talking about extensive collaboration to be able to draft a case that can be presented at a conference, maybe, right? That's our goal. And the VE, this is going to be done all through a virtual exchange. We will record all the guidelines, we will record all the instructions, and we will record all the lectures so that we can maybe also leverage synchronous and asynchronous. So this is an ambitious project, and I'm very excited about this next step working with my colleague. I would like to end with the quote here. Education is the kindling of a flame, not the filling of a vessel. And I share this every chance I have. It is quite challenging to bring this in, and Rihab knows this. I mean, things don't flow smooth, and it's a lot of work, it's double the amount of effort. to build in this virtual exchange project into our courses. But when you look at the students and the impact it has on the students, there's an exercise I do, it's called continue, stop, start. Basically, I ask my students what they like in the course that they would like for us to continue, what was not very helpful that they'd like for me to stop, and what ideas they have in mind that they want us to start. And guess what? Without exception, the virtual exchange project is what the students are the most excited about. When they reflect back, they say this course is, the VE component in this course was the most impactful. As a matter of fact, I had many students say that in their experience at Georgia State University, students who were graduating, who look back, who said that working with others from Morocco, from South Africa, from Dubai, on this virtual exchange project was the most meaningful, most challenging, and most impactful experience. So it is worth it. It's a lot of work, but it is worth it for the sake of the students and for the sake of the experiences that we built into the educational history of the students at Georgia State University and at ESCA. Thank you, and we look forward to answering your questions. You can see here a typical sign in Morocco. Of course, this is an Amazigh language, not Berber. It's not a word that's used there. And it's a country, as Rihab was said, as a crossroad of cultures, and street signs can also support that argument. This is Arabic, Amazigh, and French. And I was surprised to see how many Moroccan also spoke Spanish. So it's really a wonderful place, and it's a privilege for me to be working with you, Rihab, on these experiences now and in the future, and a privilege for our students to be have the chance to work with your students too. Thank you.
Outstanding. Thank you, Mourad. I guess the big takeaway is that, I mean, there's great value. I mean, it's amazing that how gratifying this experience has been for you so far, and you will continue this mission. We can see the excitement in both of your faces, and that says something about the enthusiasm you have for the program. It rubs on the students. But the big takeaway here is that, well, you can provide, like you said, very meaningful, very full, very comprehensive, very professional experiences through virtual experiences, virtual technologies. And you have proven that. And you have done the pre and post. I'd like to focus down on assessment. So you have really taken this a step further, and you use the IES scale, for example, to engage in the assessment, objective assessment, and comprehensive assessment of the takeaway from the student's point of view. That is also very commendable. Now, Agariz, you may want to say a couple of more things about Agariz, which seems to be a great platform. And even though you had your partner in mind, Dr. Rihab, right? Because you worked together previously through traditional study abroad programs. Does it work for everybody? What kind of a commitment do people need to make? You may want to just explain a bit more about the way you started working with Agariz.
Yes. So Agariz, like I said, is a French company. It's an intermediary. It's an innovation challenge platform. And what they do, they work on one end with companies, like I mentioned, Boeing and Airbus and Microsoft, and institutions, like mostly universities and startups, also startup firms. And what they do, they go to these companies and they ask the companies, do you have challenges that you are facing? And most companies will say, yes, we would like to do more in the area of, let's say, sustainability. We'd like to do more in the area of customer experience. We'd like to do more here and there. And we have used Agariz, I think in my courses, I've used them at least half a dozen times. So you go to the platform, and in this case, you go with your partners and you look for challenges. And you have to look for a challenge that fits your course objective. So everything has to be really tied to the learning objective of the course. This course I'm talking about, that was in partnership with my Moroccan friends, focuses on cities as centers of innovation in emerging markets. That is the title of the course. This is a course that was developed as a study abroad program, and we are moving away from doing business in countries to more thematic driven study abroad programs. And this one is about the role of cities as drivers of innovation and international business. So the challenge for TD Insurance looked very kind of appropriate because it's an innovation challenge. It's a company that seeks to create greater presence in different world cities. So you really have to be careful, spend the time to align whatever you look for with the course objective. And by the way, the Agariz folks are wonderful. They will sit down with you and we can go through the challenges together. Once you identify the challenge, then that's when you define the parameter, the rubrics, and then you invite the teams to go on and register on the platform and start using the platform infrastructure to meet and address that challenge. I hope that's...
Yeah, that helps. That helps. Thank you, Mourad. Dr. Rihab, you may want to respond to a couple of questions. We have quite a few. How many weeks did the students work together on the innovation challenge? And also, how do you kind of coordinate and synchronize your semester, your study period with ours? Was that an issue? From start to finish, how long was the collaboration?
Okay, so these are two distinct projects. For the case study analysis, we have worked from the month of January to the month of March 2018. So it was about 8 to 10 weeks work. And it was easy because these periods of the year overlap both in Georgia and in GSU and ESCA. We make sure also to have the period of debriefings the same as the period where the study tour takes place in Morocco. So we start the project 2 months before the dates that the study tour is planned. And that way the students are able to have the study tour and debrief about what they have done together in the case analysis. Regarding the innovation platform, well, they started also in January, but Professor Dakhli would confirm with me that the final submission was in March as well.
Yes, so it was about 2 months, yes.
Yes, as well, yeah.
Yeah, what do you think about the applicability of this sort of collaboration, virtual exchange projects for different levels, graduate, undergraduate, even in the business school, of course, in the US, we work with juniors and seniors, so they are typically. But there's a question here, for example, would it work well with sophomores as well? You may want to both comment on that.
It depends on the objective of the activity. For example, for sophomores, maybe they don't have the same competencies, technical competencies. So they won't be able to choose specific projects that work on finance, for example, or marketing. But more general knowledge would be required, and then they will do their proper research. But for undergraduates and graduates, we will be able to pick some specific projects that would help them use all the competencies that they have. So we have the choice of several projects, and it would be up to the teachers to agree together on the type of project that would fit both needs in both classrooms, and then pick the one that would be most relevant.
Mm-hmm. To add to that, Rihab, I used the challenge, the Agariz platform for an undergraduate course. It was mostly sophomores, students. I also used it for seniors. And then I used two for graduate students. The graduate students, the project were actually mixed teams, but mixed functional teams. I put students in Master of Science in Information Systems with my own students in the Master of International Business in joint teams, because the project had a technical aspect, an app, but also had an international business, market knowledge aspect. And out of the 8 teams that were competing, 4 made it to the following stage, which is very selective. And 1 team made it to the finals, the Americas finals, South America, North America finals. So I find, and this is what the point I made earlier, diverse teams do very well, even if it's diverse team in the sense of functional diversity. Computer science folks working with with international business folks. So I have used this challenge, like I said, half a dozen times at the early stages, at the end stage of undergraduate, and for a graduate. Again, it's really about, as Rihab, you mentioned, finding the right challenge and the degree of support you provide to the students. Sometimes students need a little bit more support than in the case of graduate students, for example.
And you mentioned this as well, which is very important, giving the students another point of pride and
Yes.
something that they can feature, highlight in their job interviews, on their resume, and so on. It's certainly, and I think enhances their qualifications and makes them more attractive from an employer's point of view. Dr. Rihab, one of the questions, you talked about advanced competencies. Obviously, students learn a lot about problem solving, market research, presentation, communication, team building kinds of skills. When you talked about advanced competencies, Eleanor asks, what did you mean, and can you give an example?
Yes, of course. So actually the competencies at ESCA would be soft skills and hard skills. And the advanced competencies are about the hard skills. So some students would pick marketing or finance competencies to develop. Others would be in international commerce. Others would be in marketing, for example. So it depends on the students. They will be free to pick whatever advanced competencies they think interesting for their future careers, and we help them develop them in the school. So this is what advanced competencies means here, and they will be different according to the students and what they choose as specific topics to have in the class.
A colleague asks, at the very beginning of your collaboration, do you start with a synchronous session where students from both groups meet each other, mingle, and do you do that as part of the Agariz platform or separately?
Rihab, you want to answer? I can start. No, we did not start with a synchronous session. We started with an asynchronous session in the beginning. It was, of course, a lot of Skype discussion with Rihab on these many meetings. But we did one synchronous session a couple of years ago, as a matter of fact, for the next project, that is a bigger component of the partnership. I was talking about the new virtual exchange collaborative course. We will leverage more of the synchronous, but for the previous project, just because of the time students are available, the time it's very hard to have both populations at the same time in the same place. We will work in earlier on the course, then actually the timing will be part of the arrangements, so that we at least once every couple of weeks or once or so, we will have that synchronous session going into this new collaboration.
Yeah, maybe perhaps one final comment. There is a comment from one of our participants, Julio, who notices, the context country here is Morocco. So wondering whether or not you would tap other perhaps less developed economies in Africa. The focus in Africa is very appropriate, something that we neglect in teaching international business in general. But I think, Mourad, you already mentioned that you have plans to expand this kind of collaboration to Ethiopia, to Nigeria. You're already working in South Africa, I believe, and similar projects as well. You may both want to comment about that too.
Yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, and as you know, Tamir, the proposal is to really create more of an Africa collaboration, not just have Georgia State as an anchor, as a node. And in my proposal that Tamir is aware of, is create this kind of virtual exchange where we have multiple nodes in Africa. Nigeria obviously is one of the major economies. We had already a number of virtual exchange projects with the University of Pretoria, with the University of Witwatersrand in Johannesburg, where we had the mentorship project there. We had the joint research project. And my goal is to bring in more. Actually, did already inquire. It's not one of the more developed countries, obviously Kenya in Africa, but again, the goal is to really create that network of institutions in Africa with us and kind of build these innovative, creative, collaborative arrangements with them.
Wonderful. Hannah is there, remind us of the time. I'll ask Dr. Rihab, first of all, I'll thank her very much to be our special guest today, joining us from another time zone. Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much. Your participation made a big difference here, and we look forward to this collaboration. Any final comments from either of you?
No, I just want to thank Rihab, and we have a lot more in the pipelines come along than what we had just shared with you. So excited for what the next few years will bring to our students, our joint students.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thank you all for this invitation.
Thank you.